Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary folk, welcome back to the Dead Film Critics Society. I'm here with my wonderful co-host Daniel Eng, and I'm the other co-host, Aiden Billing. It's been a while, but we're both done school for the summer, and we thought we would come back and make another episode. So,
Yeah,
how have
always
things been with you, Daniel?
been good. Not too eventful overall in my personal life. Been pretty
Huh?
relaxed overall. Things got a little weird. My school went on strike, but
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
everything went okay for my classes, so it worked out pretty okay for me. Some people I know in my program actually are still going through the remediation period, as they called it, to catch up for canceled classes that were completely canceled. So unfortunately, some of them seemingly get their May break, what I consider the May break, taken away, the one that you get when you know, get to work uh, through the summer. If you do that, usually I feel like most people I know don't end up working a summer job till June at least. So unfortunately, yeah, like
Oh,
May,
June?
a decent amount, yeah.
Like, why though?
I
I
don't.
start
Well,
looking for my job in March.
that's fair. I think because like the summer internships and co-op things usually start during that time.
Mm.
From
Okay.
what
All
I've
right. I see.
seen, and camp starts like I know camp people obviously, but well, the ones who work at mine, and so we start in June,
Yeah.
and then a couple others who you know yeah, it just depends. Like I think a lot of people like to take May off. I had a friend who was working throughout the year, and he's like taking a vacation to the United States to see his girlfriend who actually lives in North Carolina. And he
Whoa.
lives here, so yeah, they're doing a real long distance thing. So,
God.
but they got
Huh.
a cat together. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
nice.
that's some nice
That's
news.
a reason. That's a good reason not to get divorced. How do you split custody of the cat?
True, especially when one of them is literally it's an American cat, so one of them.
Mm.
So, yeah, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, we normally get into some news, and we will, but obviously, there's been a lot of real things happening in the world, especially things connected to even our areas here at home and across North America in relation to the ongoing conflict in Israel and between Israel and Palestine
Mm.
and the continued aggression from Israel in regards to the Palestinian people, which many now consider a genocide. I'm assuming you do. I'm I'm not against calling it a genocide.
Yeah.
Let's say that. I would I guess
That's
I would
fine.
want to put in my own research and everything into historic definitions. Obviously, there's a lot of, like I said, aggression and things
Yeah.
and actions that needed to be condoned and movement that is clearly unhumanitarian and
Oh yeah.
you know, as illustrated by, I think, a recent UN article I saw that literally it seemingly is only the United States, almost to a certain point, that is backing up Israel at this point, at least in the UN, but because the United States has veto power in the UN hasn't fully backed the actions of, you know, creating a ceasefire for Palestine. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. It's really fucking crazy to
yeah,
be honest.
which has led to protests at numerous campuses across North America, as
Yeah.
and in Canada relation, we also, I don't think Trudeau has really ever publicly fully condemned the, both, like, yeah, Israel really only really, and I can appreciate condemning the actions that harm people on both sides of the conflict. Of course, no one wants that kind of violence, but of course we can see that one side clearly has more power, being backed by a country that has had the greatest military power for the last century,
Yeah.
um, and yeah. So with all that, you know, Canada by proxy. is responsible.
No, we're complicit in this. We need to do
to a large
better.
extent.
I mean, the population at large seems to not agree with the government's decision, and I'm glad about that. Like, there's been numerous protests, like, on our campuses, too. Like, my university campus just had a protest recently, and there's been numerous protests, like, in Windsor itself. Like, they'll come down my street every now and again. It's interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's the most notable one I've seen is at the UFT campus. I haven't seen anything about any other university or college campuses. Obviously, UFT is a very, I don't know, it's at the heart of the city. It's one of the, it's probably it's probably considered the most major university in Ontario, considering it's in the largest city and one of the more prestigious and historical ones. Obviously, I think, one key thing is I learned from this one very articulate woman at the University of Oxford who was talking about one of the clear demands, obviously, and I think it very much makes 100% sense, is the divestment of funds from companies that support Israel and, arms manufacturers. That feels very reasonable and feels like a very practical way to, like, take away power from the aggression that Israel's pulling off. That's something I definitely 100% support.
Yeah.
So
I will say. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead. I'll say my piece.
I'm just hoping that's something that happens. I know, obviously, if it came down, I'm sure some of them would be like, oh, we have to have these kind of investments in order to run the schools, which to some extent is both true and untrue, because obviously they can invest in other things, and they should. Those might not be as profitable. I don't know. It's very, it's a very I'm not going to acknowledge it's not a complex funding system that, like, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, because obviously there's a lot of, different, probably rules about the investments and who's in charge of them, and probably different groups of people at the university are. But regardless, I think obviously that's something that should be done by universities across North America and into the UK, obviously, for those who are protesting. And even though, unfortunately, I don't know, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on the encampment itself. I have heard some, I think I'm not sure exactly where everyone in that encampment stands, I guess, beyond, because I don't remember what their demands were. I don't know if you do.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure if I really, aside from the whole, like, divesting from fucking arms manufacturers or whatever, but that's all I've really heard.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's gotten to a point where, like, I can no longer, like, because at the start I was like, because at the start I was sort of seeing both sides. Because before Israel took it way out of proportion, right? Like, because let's be clear, Hamas did, like, attack Israel, right? And Israel had a response, which is understandable, but then Israel kept responding, right? And it's just gotten way out of control. And, when you learn the background of the leader of Israel, he's a Zionist, which believes that there should only be Jewish people in that. He believes that there should only be Jewish people in that Holy Land. So he wants to, get rid of the Muslims there, which are the Palestinians, and, like, I feel like he's using this as a way to do that. He was just looking for an excuse. He finally got his excuse, and now he's, like, he's gotten out of control. He's a fucking, I'm trying to be really careful with what I say here, because I don't want people saying I'm anti-Semitic. That's another thing I don't like as well. Like, people are saying, like, if you're against Israel, you're anti-Semitic, and that's complete crap. Like, I'm sick of that argument. Like, it's such a cop-out. It's not true at all. Israel does not represent the beliefs of the Jewish religion, right? Judaism, I should say. Like, it is so far from their teachings at this point. And there's been many prominent Jewish, like, figures in culture that have called out Israel for these actions and, disguising it and, just explaining it away as like, oh, if you're against us, you're anti-Semitic, because it's an easy way to deflect blame on them. Let them do whatever they want because people are scared to call them out. It's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it has also seemingly become this conflict has become playing ground for, for a lot, like a decent amount of people, unfortunately, like an excuse for religious and, racial discrimination on both sides to say they're probably, on both sides, I will say. I'm not gonna,
people are using this as an excuse to be anti-Semitic, but but not everybody who's protesting Israel is anti-Semitic. I would say the vast majority aren't, but
yeah,
for sure. There's still going to be some dumbasses on either side, of course.
Yeah, and obviously, there have been some statements by groups that I feel like aren't careful to sensitivities of the lives of Israel to some extent, and of course some that have been anti-Semitic, but also there's definitely been some that are very anti-Muslim, and xenophobic in that way, and so, unfortunately it goes both ways. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know where to go with that. It's
fine. Our main point, though, is I think we can just end it like this.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard, for me especially, to really focus on... I don't mind watching movies, but, searching for movie news when, I don't know, there's, all this turmoil in the world right now, it's kind of hard for me. I would prefer to look at that stuff more, just so I stay informed. I don't want to be complicit. I don't want to ignore what's going on. And I'm not saying that you are, obviously, some people handle things differently. Some people want to escape from that, and I totally respect that. But for me personally, I can't really just... I'm struggling to find escapism right now. Because not only there's this stuff, right? There's also the war in Ukraine. That's still going on, by the way, even though Instagram influencers have pretended it hasn't been happening for the last, several months. Then there's also the housing crisis in Canada right now, which, I don't know, it's going to make it very hard for you or I to have a life in, maybe 5 to 10 years. So, I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously is a struggle to varying degrees. Obviously that wasn't a comparison. I'm sure you would acknowledge too,
No, of course not. Yeah, but
it's
just it feels like everywhere I look, there's something shitty happening, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the news cycle as well. Obviously, that's what gets eyeballs drawn to it, and I mean, same can happen in film. Obviously, the most exciting things in film, obviously, is when, sometimes when a film doesn't do well or when something gets critically bombed or... I mean, I'd like to think, there's a little more escapism to be found in film, but obviously I think film, especially with what I was at recently with the documentary film festival, I'll give my quick recap of that. I only went one day and got a few screeners, but I saw a lot that one day I went, so I'll have a quick breakdown of that. Trying to remember if any of them addressed no, I never managed to see the film that actually directly addressed. One of them was a Palestinian film. I never ended up seeing that. Anyways, I'm gonna read some news off.
Hit me, bro.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I need some escapism.
So Catherine Bigelow, if she directed Point Break, she directed Hurt Locker, she directed Zero Dark 30.
I love how the first movie you mentioned that she directed was Point Break. That's funny. That's the first film that came to mind for you.
It's just one I thought also you might know.
No, I know Point Break, obviously,
yeah.
I know Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, I know all those ones. And Detroit as well, let's not forget about
Detroit, which was her last feature film.
Yeah, it's been 6 years.
She's been struggling to set up a deal I think at Netflix specifically, because I think she had some other war-type movie, I think, set up there. This next film she's set up to direct right now is about how the White House reacts in real time to ballistic missiles headed for America. It's being written by Noah Oppenheim, who, last I checked, was the president of NBC, or an executive there. He wrote Jackie, with Natalie Portman. He also wrote a couple other things, like I think a Maze Runner screenplay, which actually connects to the other film that came out this weekend, with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, directed by Wes Paul, eyeing about a $55 million opening. The reviews have been good, not amazing, but have been really pretty solid. I don't know if that's a film you're interested in seeing. Have you watched all the? You are. You've watched all the other apes, like the.
I haven't seen the original Planet of the Apes films, but I've seen the entire reboot series. I've seen like Rise, Dawn, and War. Those are a great trilogy by themselves. I don't know if you would agree with that, but
I've only watched. Solid. I only watched War actually, because I don't remember why. I think it was the only one maybe available at the library at the time. And I was curious. I liked it. I wouldn't say it's a movie I, really wanted, like, nothing about the movie interested me to see the previous two necessarily, or this new one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, people were praising Matt Reeves' take on those films, but I think he very much came into his own as, like, a blockbuster auteur of sorts, like, where you could find his mark much more in the Batman. I appreciate that film a lot more, especially for its filmmaking. I don't know. I'm not against it. Like, it's gonna make a bunch of money.
Yeah. Great special effects too. The apes still look as good as ever, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's more than you can say about a lot of blockbusters these days, but you can tell we're just gonna age horrendously.
Yeah.
In like 5 to 10 years. So.
Yeah, it's better than it's never won the visual effects Oscar, and it probably won't still because it's going up against Dune 2. So.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, these films, they always come out at like a time when there's just like, they're impressive, they're insane, like the work they do, but then they always come out when there's something that's just slightly better than them, right?
Yeah.
I would say though Dune 2 is much better.
Yeah.
From what I can see in the trailers, but it still looks really good.
Yeah, like
photorealistic.
If it came out last year, it probably would have won. It probably would have beat Godzilla, which 28 Years Later is being set up. I don't know. You ever watched 28 Days Later? I really like that film, from Danny Boyle.
I've heard about
Danny Boyle is directing again. Alex Garland's doing the screenplay. Alex Garland also, he retired from directing, he said. He's making one last film he's co-directing, but then after that he's not retiring from the filmmaking world. He's still doing screenplays, like 28 years later. He just wants to do screenplays. I don't know. Something about directing, I guess, stressed him out too much.
Well, I mean, he's made some good films. I think he's definitely left his mark on the directing world. So I would be happy to see more of his screenplays. He's done some really good ones.
Yeah. Stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, and Jack O'Connell. Set for release in June of 2025.
Pretty good cast. I like the sound of that. Yeah. I will watch anything with Aaron Taylor Johnson in it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not Craven the Hunter. I don't know if I want to see that one, actually. Yeah, I take that back. Yeah.
That's fair. So apparently there's a new Lord of the Rings live action film being announced from Warner Brothers.
Yes, The Hunt for Gollum, isn't that right?
The Hunt for Gollum. They also, I'm just learning about this right now. They filed a copyright strike against a fan film that had that same name and that was made 15 years ago. It was a short film on YouTube that had 13 million views before it was removed. It had the same name apparently. Like a fan film. But obviously because they own it, I guess they can just do that. I hope they release it on Vimeo or something. Where it's hard to get copy strikes.
Who owns Lord of the Rings now? Is that Is that Amazon? Or?
No, that's Warner Brothers. I think Amazon has the TV rights. Something about the rights is different. I don't know. They split the property into like, they sliced it like a pizza or something. I don't know. You get this part of the pie. I don't know.
Well, I mean, no, not surprising. Warner Brothers says they've been really stupid lately. You know, that's another stupid thing. They
Yeah.
could have just asked the guy to change the title. You know, 'cause like, why alienate your fan base? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know why they're bringing attention to it. 'Cause now I'm more interested in seeing that short film than the whole movie that they're gonna make.
Yeah, now I am as well. I didn't even know about the short film, but
Yeah. Fantastic Four cast Ralph
yes,
Fiennes
I saw
as
that.
Galactus. A good MCU cast, because I know Galactus is supposed to be very menacing presence, and his voice alone, obviously,
Oh my god, yeah.
will do that. So like great
him in
casting.
Green Knight was very intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. So great casting choice.
Also, John Malkovich got added to the cast as well.
Yeah, I know. They're really going for like a SAG ensemble thing, I feel like. It almost feels like that would be the cast of like a hit A24 movie. But I don't know, maybe that's the approach now. Not the director.
I hope it's good, honestly, because, I mean, I haven't been that impressed with Marvel, like,
yeah.
really, it could be better, for sure.
It's the one I'm most interested in seeing.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Probably, even though it is John Watts, and I never really liked his direction on the Spider-Man films, necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bear Season 3 is coming out June 27th. You're gonna be watching all episodes. It's gonna drop they're doing the dropping all episodes thing again. I think honestly, like I know I think FX is it's not. I don't know why they don't drop them week by week. They did that with Shogun, and that I think really worked.
But that's like a mini series, though,
That's the other news I guess I'll bring up to you right now is that it might not be. They are potentially closing talks on a season 2. I have no idea what it's going to be based on. I don't know who's writing it, but FX is confirming that they signed a deal with I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. The guy who played Toranaga, the lead.
Oh, Hiroku Sanada?
Yeah, exactly. Him.
I love that guy. Look.
Yeah. He signed a deal to be in the season 2, so also means that Shogun might go to drama series at the Emmys, so everyone's like, oh, well, now the clear winners would be The Bear, Shogun, and what's the other limited series that's doing really well? Why can't I remember? Okay, I can't remember, but there's another one that's doing really well.
Okay. Well, if you remember, let me know. Actually, I just realized I do have one thing I could just quickly touch on.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Fallout show yet, but that just got renewed for season 2, unsurprisingly. I thought it was excellent, actually. Have you seen it yet?
I've not. Nothing about it, other than the fact that Jonathan Nolan was on the writing team.
Yeah.
Nothing about it really intrigued me that much, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Fallout.
No, I hear you. I wasn't sure about it either, because I wasn't a huge fan of the series beforehand. I'd never played any of the games. I just watched walkthroughs, and I was interested in the lore. It seemed cool, but then I don't know. The show it definitely, I don't know. Part of it was I don't know. How bad could it be, Because I'd heard people say nice things about it. The first episode really hooks you in, man. And then from there, it just gets crazier and crazier. I don't know. I think you should watch it. I think you might like it.
I'm also
Plus, it's got Kyle MacLachlan. We do love Kyle MacLachlan here, so yeah.
I have been a little more adverse to Prime Video with them putting ads on unless you pay $5 more. I don't know anyone who's paid the $5.
Oh my God! Don't even get me
fucking
started on that. Jesus.
I'm assuming you haven't paid the $5 to get rid of the ads.
Why the fuck would I? That's insane.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This man is
he's like fucking how I don't know how rich he is. He's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and what he's so
Yeah.
cheap he's gonna put fucking ads on everything. Like that was the whole point of streaming to avoid
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah, I mean it's a limited amount of ads compared to cable, but everyone is always like I don't think it's completely true, but everyone always jokes, especially with like in America they're doing a Disney Plus Hulu Max bundle. Everyone's just joking that we're going back to cable,
Cable. Yeah, it is
which I don't
basically
think it's
cable.
entirely true. It's just yeah, it's like cable hybrid
Oh
almost.
yeah.
So I think is a better way to say it, but or someone
Yeah.
said cable plus, which is maybe also accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, God.
I'm glad like Disney Plus still hasn't done that account thing that Netflix had, where
Yeah.
you have to have the same home Wi-Fi network. But Netflix is also
Well, even
taking
like
away their.
Netflix is considering putting ads on their fucking videos now. I don't know if
Yeah,
you heard
well,
about.
no, they are. They're forcing everyone to either do the full package, which is like $17 a month here in Canada, or the ads package, which is $5, I think. That's
Ah,
they took away the basic $10 one.
that's that's fucking gay, man. Honestly, like Jesus. Do you remember when Netflix used to be $8 a month? That feels like an eternity ago. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and that was like the full thing. It's like
Yeah.
more than double the price, unless you
No,
watch ads, I guess.
for real.
Which
I will
I
say, I
don't
will.
want to see what kind of ads they show me on Netflix, because like the targeting, the only thing I remember for Amazon ads is they kept giving me the same Skip the Dishes NHL themed one. I don't know what
Oh,
about my account makes them think I want to see that. But yeah.
I will say though, the Fallout show, it has like the commercial breaks, but every time I've watched it, and my dad and my stepmom just started watching it, there haven't been any ads. So I think it might be ad free currently. So if you are gonna watch it, I would say watch it soon before fucking Amazon decides to put ads on it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. There was an opening image of Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks
Mm.
released. It was also recently announced that I told you this is going to premiere at Fantasia Fest, which I believe is in
Yes.
Montreal, or at least it's in Quebec.
Yeah.
I think it's in Montreal. Um, and it's now executive produced by Mike Flanagan.
I saw
Um,
that. Yeah.
so the synopsis is the film follows a woman who searches for her sister who became a paranormal investigator on YouTube after realizing the imaginary demons from their childhood may be real. Um, you know, appropriate for Chris Stuckman's first movie to have YouTube referenced in it as part of the
Of
plot.
course.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't know if I'll make the trip up to all the way to Montreal because there's nothing really else there at Fantasia Fest that interests me, but I know we'll get reactions to it very soon, and that'll be exciting. Um, yeah. Speaking of film festivals, I guess there's also the Cannes Film Festival. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard about much about the films that are going there, but we have things like Megapolis from Francis Ford Coppola with Adam Driver. That's his self-funded project that still doesn't have a North American distributor, because the market apparently, none of the big studios want it apparently. So we'll see how their reactions turn out at Cannes.
Interesting.
Hopefully the
Why do you
critics.
think that is? Like he's got Francis Ford Coppola's got quite the resume. You'd think they would want to distribute his film.
Yeah, they probably don't want to pay the entire price for it. It was like $120 million, and it is something that's not guaranteed to make its money back. I think that's somewhat fair to acknowledge. I want this film to do well. I want this to be a great film, obviously, as I do all films.
Mhm.
Um, there is like I have some elements of doubt. I think it'll be a very interesting piece of work to see. I am interested to see the reactions that can, and I hope they're good. But I mean, I do think, I don't feel too bad for a man who like he finally made it. I think he's gonna be proud of the film no matter what. But also like if he obviously he could afford to make it himself, which is a power in Hollywood and just the world that not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So, like, I won't feel the worst. Like, I would feel a lot worse if Shelby Oaks got panned, for example, because that's Chris's first film. And while he has some power because he has a good following on YouTube, he's not rich by any means. He had to do a very large Kickstarter just to get this film made. But, with Mike Flanagan behind it, I'm assuming he's not just joining it because of Chris Stuckman's profile. That's obviously a good indicator for its quality and for his potential future as a director. Um, Francis Ford Coppola, he's had his run. I think this seemingly was his last big film that he really wanted. He's been wanting to make this for like 50 years, and he did make it. So I think he'll be okay no matter what. He'll get a standing applause at Cannes, I'm sure, and that'll be a nice moment for him. But even if the film gets, loses money, which I think is almost guaranteed, unfortunately, I'm still glad it's there. But, it'd be nice if it made money.
Though, to be
Yeah.
honest. It does, I mean, it's not very long, but, like, Adam Driver just basically stops, like time or something like that? Like, when he's about to fall off the
I don't know.
Like, I was wondering what the hell was going on there.
I know. That part almost made it seem like a superhero film, but I don't know if it's like a metaphorical stopping of time, or if it's real, or like, I don't, because if he can actually stop time, that feels like a plot device that would show up a lot, but who knows?
I mean, why else would they put it in the teaser if it wasn't a big plot point, Unless they're doing some kind of misdirect to get more interest in, to get more interest in the general public, to try and like get some of the money back. But I mean, I certainly hope they wouldn't do deceptive marketing. That would kind of suck. But,
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I could see that being a possibility to make people think it's more of a superhero thing, almost. Like, but I feel like that would be very much against what he's going for, probably in the end. I'm sure he's, not just making a superhero film. Otherwise, he probably would have directed, I don't know, the Fantastic Four or something like that.
Oh my god, can you imagine that?
Francis Ford Coppola being in it, that would be crazy. But who knows? Like, he might have to if he loses money from this. Unfortunately, like, well, not that he might have to. I'm sure he'll be okay financially no matter what. He's got
his vineyard business.
He's got a vineyard business. He sold a part of it for this movie, but I'm sure the vineyard business is big enough that he'll be okay for years to come.
Oh yeah, no, him and his family, I think they're probably set for life.
I'm sure they can support each other if it really comes down to it. Got a few casting announcements. Glenn Powell, Anthony Mackie, and Laura Dern are set to star in Monsanto, a drama based on a true story of an upstart lawyer who takes on one of the most powerful and controversial chemical corporations in the United States. You got Sydney Sweeney playing a Rocky-type character, trailblazing boxer from director David McCod. She's playing a real-life figure. The headline didn't say who she's playing, though. They're continuing to set up Jeremy Allen White for a first leading movie role, with him playing Bruce Springsteen. And Jeremy Strong is in talks to play Bruce Springsteen's manager, John Landau, in a Scott Cooper's film about the making of Nebraska.
That could be pretty cool.
So that's an interesting film. Got Twisters. Another trailer.
Jeez. I'm very excited for that one, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I will be seated for that. It's not like entirely my type of thing, but Lee Isaac Chung is the director. He did Minari.
Yeah.
I love Minari. And I know it's not going to be Minari. He didn't write it. It's written by a guy whose best screenplay is probably The Revenant. But he's done a ton of screenplays he's like done a ton of for hire work. So, but I think that combination is good. When he's worked with a good director, it's been a good film. So I'm hoping, like, there hasn't been any like big reactions from it. It's test screened, I think, a couple times. Not been like rated as a masterpiece, but there's been good reactions. So I'm looking forward to it. I'd hope it makes money. I hope it doesn't, I'd want to see it in IMAX. I
Yeah,
really
no,
hope
same.
it does not bomb. That would suck for Lee Isaac Chung, and because if it does well, I feel like it would set him up to do a passion project of his own for a little bit of a higher budget. In the same way that you have to think Barry Jenkins is doing with Mufasa.
Yeah.
You gotta think he's gonna be doing.
I don't know if Mufasa's gonna do well though, man, because like I know the last like Lion King film did really well, but like nobody was asking for this, you know. I just feel like Disney's script is
Yeah,
really again.
I don't know. At the very least, he'll have got a good check from directing the film. I'm
Oh yeah.
hoping, like, obviously a studio like A24 or like an indie studio would take on his next budget,
Oh, easily.
no matter what, if it's at least, obviously, I don't know if I don't know what Barry Jenkins is cooking, but hopefully, something good.
I mean, maybe
Will,
it will be good. 'Cause, I mean, he's done good stuff. But I mean, as for Twisters though, I have a lot of faith in that. I mean, it seems like a good project, and I don't know. I like disaster films, man. Okay, I know that most of them are shit, but I like the original Twister. Came out 1996. Still doesn't look too bad today, by the way, I should say. Like, it's held up surprisingly good. It's like nearly 30 years old. It still looks pretty solid. And like from what I can tell from the trailers, like the special effects look really good. So I mean, yeah, I think for this type of film, I think that's all the people just expect. They just want it to look good and be entertaining, right? But
yeah,
the MCU has kind of ruined that for a lot of people because the films aren't that entertaining. They're the same formula they've always been. They don't even look good anymore, right?
yeah. I mean, there has been definitely some criticism thrown at the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, especially the lighting
Mm.
in one shot of them sitting in a cafe diner thing, where they're
Yeah.
like almost completely silhouetted for seemingly no particular reason. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that film does. I think it might. Like, I know people are gonna see it because it's like Deadpool, and everyone likes the Deadpool movies still. But I don't know. I think there maybe is some like, now that it's a Marvel film, there probably is a little more aversion, a little more scrutiny.
Yeah.
But I think they've done enough to market it as a Deadpool film, not as an MCU movie. So they
Fair
need
enough.
to work that to their advantage, really. Um,
Yeah.
the new Superman poster with the suit was released.
Oh, I
Um,
haven't seen it.
you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. Shit.
Uh,
Here, I'll search it up right now. Hold on.
yeah, you should look it up. I don't have any strong thoughts about it. It looks fine. Looks good. It's not like, whoa, this is super cool, but it's not like, but it's like it's pretty classic, I'd say, compared to most depictions of Superman I've seen in my life. So no complaints on it from my side, but also not like, whoa, this is amazing kind of thing.
Yeah, bro's just sitting on a building.
Yeah, he's sitting in an apartment while something was going on there.
Oh wait, sorry, no, this one was a different poster. Oh yeah, I can see. It's alright. The suit doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, no complaints on my side.
No complaints from me either. Shit. Okay. Cool.
Willem Dafoe and Sandra Hüller, who was Oscar nominated for Anatomy of a Fall, they're going to be in a film directed by Kent Jones, written by Sammy Birch, who did the May December screenplay. Um, so that's very cool to see. I'll be looking forward to that. You saw May December, right?
I did see May December, yeah.
Yeah, and you liked that. I
I did
remember
like it
you.
despite how hard it was to watch, but fuck.
Yeah,
Good
no, for
film.
sure. Good film. Yeah. Boy season 4 is coming out. I'm assuming that's something you'll be
Yep.
watching.
You already know I saw Gen V, so I'm excited for the boys season 4. It should be good.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Nothing else really big to mention. So think we can maybe talk about what we've actually seen recently.
Yeah.
What did you say? You said you saw challenges recently.
Challengers, I've seen Dune Part 2.
Right.
I've seen. I mean, aside from the TV shows, I think those are the only two movies I've seen recently.
I could have sworn you
That's
mentioned
it.
one other one. Because you said you were seeing challengers, but you had seen Dune and something else.
Let me check. Let me check the message I sent you. It'll probably have the answers. Oh. Mm,
Ah, never mind. No, you just said those two
no, it's
films.
just challenges and Dune.
Okay.
Well, you've seen both, I assume.
I have seen both.
Okay. Which one would you like to talk about first?
Talk about Dune first. I think it's the easier one
Oh
to
yeah.
talk about. It is like it's not entirely straightforward, but I think it's a film obviously meant for wide audiences. It was something that was trying to appeal to everybody, while at the same time still staying true to the source material, which is a
Mhm.
little weird and somewhat complex in its commentary. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think, and most people agree. I do agree. It was a great theater experience. It was wonderful to
Mm.
see in IMAX.
Yeah.
Very immersive. I felt, sometimes my brain can wander during films even in a theater, but it was something that was locked in for pretty much from the start. Um, yeah, I think it did. I think it's a screenplay that can be very much praised for its efficiency in visual storytelling. While it did a lot of the setup in the first part, it took advantage of that pretty well and was able to bring us through the course of this adventure, I think pretty efficiently while providing lots of opportunity for very interesting images and scenes. So I'd praise the movie for that for sure. That's something I think it did very well. Um, because Denis Villeneuve talked about how he prefers less dialogue, and I think
Yeah.
he kind of did that to his best extent here, maybe than in any other film, where he very much focused on letting the image and the characters and the world kind of tell the story. Um, and for that reason, it's probably more entertaining than the first, less exposition overall, but it takes advantage of the slowness that some people might complain about in Dune.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I was actually blown away first time I saw that. I just came out of the theater. I was I couldn't really say anything for the first 5 minutes. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was all I could think, the only thing I could think of was I want to see this again, and I did. I've seen it twice now, and it really has gotten me into the Dune lore even more. Like the first one really intrigued me, and I was like, oh, I wonder where they're gonna go with this. But yeah, no, fucking masterpiece. Somehow made Timothy Chalamet intimidating as well. I didn't think that was
True,
possible.
true.
But yeah, no. Speaking of him, great performance in this film. My God, I thought he was really fantastic. Him and bloody Austin Butler were really the standouts for me. Austin Butler didn't have a ton of screen time, but when he was on screen, you were engaged. I found him very convincing, and it's nice to see that he's finally gotten rid of the Elvis accent. Maybe his thing will just be funny voices from here on out. I can
Yeah,
respect that.
it's gonna
Yeah.
wreck his vocal cords at this rate before he's 50, but you
Probably.
know. Yeah, I agree with all that. I think, yeah, he really sells the kind of he doesn't want to be this messiah figure, but then he has
He
to.
believes he has no choice, even though the whole thing is
Yeah,
being manufactured. Yeah.
yeah. No, he believes he has no choice, and he really embraces that well. You very much believe that kind of transition. You can also kind of believe he's putting on an act to some extent,
Yeah.
like like that as part of his character. Like I think Timothy conveys that very well in the way that he makes it. Like, it's not so naturally epic. You can see he's putting some effort in there, but in a way that, like, you're kind of just more blinded by the sheer amount of charisma and, like, power he's trying to illustrate with his voice and with his actions.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously very clear in the final fight when he tells the Reverend Mother to be silent.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, that moment was fucking crazy. In
Yeah.
theater. Like, Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
No,
lots of epic theater moments for sure.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Dune. I think one thing I was expecting a little more action. Like someone threw out a comparison to like the Two Towers in its action scene, which I don't know if you remember the end of Two Towers with the
Helm's Deep, yeah.
Yeah, Helm's Deep. It's not nearly to that extent, I'd say, because the fighting and war kind of happens in like 5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
they kind
Still
of
longer than it happened in the book, by the way, but I mean, like,
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So,
It was, I know it wasn't as long as Helm's Deep, but I thought it was a really good final battle, to be honest with you. Like, first of all, like, that shot of Timothy looking at the nuclear explosion is fucking crazy. It looked phenomenal. It was absolute peak. And then, like, what's it called? The Fremen riding in on the worms was something that, like, obviously they were kind of like setting it up like earlier, like they were using the worms as like a means of transport across Arrakis, or just like they wanted to ride for fun. And no, they actually used it for war as well, which I mean I kind of saw coming, but it looks fucking awesome. Speaking of that, like Paul's first like ride on the sandworm was, I think, one of the better moments of the film as well. I don't know what you thought about that, but it felt earned,
Yeah.
Because at the end of the last Dune, they kind of set up that these guys can actually like fucking ride the worms, and we get a taste of it. We just see one person riding a worm off in the distance, and then we finally get to see, the main character that we've been following this entire time get to do that, and like, it was a really good moment with, I would say, probably one of the best film scores I've heard in the last like 5 years, maybe 10 actually. Like the score for Dune is just insane. Don't look at me like that. You know it's true. Come on. I'm not exaggerating. Dude, the fucking the Dune soundtrack that Hans Zimmer put together, it sends me to another dimension. It's fucking crazy. And like I actually looked up how he did it, like, because I have Dune Part 1 on Blu-ray, right? And he was talking about how he basically invented instruments that sounded otherworldly, and then like, used those sounds to fucking make the soundtrack, because he didn't want it to be just like, oh, it sounds like Earth. No, he wanted it to sound familiar of Earth, but also distinctly otherworldly. And I think that's a really excellent idea for a sci-fi movie. It's like, it's not, because a lot of sci-fi movies, they either do like the classic big orchestral score, or it's like synth, right? But this is something completely unique and something that I don't think people have heard before. For both of these movies, I'm counting them as one continuous score, because like, they are
Okay.
one book, right? But yeah.
Okay, I can accept that a little more. I think the beauty of Dune 2 is that the score was almost less showy. Like, I don't want to say it's less good necessarily, but it's less listenable by itself to me. Like, I tried to listen to some of the tracks on it, and they just aren't as appealing or like an earworm compared to what I enjoyed in the first one, personally.
Really?
To me,
Okay,
maybe it's just because like the length of the tracks and stuff, but I think that it did a better job of making the music just a background part. Some parts obviously it's very prominent, but I think it did a better job at like immersing you, putting you in the narrative rather than the music.
Yeah.
Overall.
That's fair.
It's
interesting you say that, though, because I've listened to the Dune 2 soundtrack quite a bit since the movie's been done. So maybe we're just like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Two distinct points of view. That's all right. No worries. I don't know. I like the Dune soundtrack, Dune Part 2 soundtrack, a little bit more than the first one, to be honest with you. I would say I have more songs from the second part soundtrack in my library than the first one. I think I have maybe like 3 or 4.
That's fair.
I have to double check that, but I think I have like only maybe like one or two from the first one. So.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a listen one of these times, but I don't know. It just, yeah, I don't know. It just never fit with what I was feeling when I would play it. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. Like not, yeah. Especially overall as a score, it's a great score.
Mhm.
Best
It'll
of
probably win
5
best score.
year, it'll probably win best score. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah.
I guess I probably have some other scores I enjoy more overall.
Okay, hit me. What's the score you think would be better than this one?
Challengers, for one. I would
Ooh, okay.
enjoy, yeah.
I can hear that argument. I can hear that. I don't think that's crazy to say. I
Yeah.
personally think the Dune Part 2 soundtrack, I think it just edges it out just a little bit, but Challengers is fucking phenomenal. I love that score as well. We'll get into that in a little bit, though, but my god, yeah, no. Two great scores in the span of a couple months. I think we have been treated as an audience. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The work from, like, Ludwig Göransson's Oppenheimer score, I'd probably put above it. Probably, to be fair, these are from literally 5 years ago, but Uncut Gems score, I think, is phenomenal. I love that score. Babylon 2, Justin Hurwitz. I really love that score, too. Even to some extent, it's a very minimal score from Mika Levi in The Zone of Interest. But that's a piece of music I will never get out of my head. What she does with that score, especially in the opening and closing tracks. That you know, it's like a overture for the movie. It's very haunting. Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not gonna say Hans Zimmer. Like, I put a list together because I'm, sometimes when I'm bored I just do that, of like the best composers working today. He is one of them, for sure. I'm not.
I would argue he's the best, if I'm being completely honest with you.
I think
he has more recognizable film scores than, like, I would say 99% of composers out there. Maybe with the exception of John Williams and Bloody.
Yeah.
I mean, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are getting up there, though. They have made some really good scores.
I think they're the best composers working today, especially in terms of variety and and also consistent quality. I think they're the ones cranking out the best soundtracks these days.
That's fair. I mean, you can't forget about Ludwig Göransson, though, as well. He's done some really good ones, too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He's getting up there. Obviously, Oppenheimer was a big step for him. I think incorporating his, modern sensibilities with more of a classical violin score. Very impressive what he did with that score. Where the heck? I'm trying to find what else, because I think Hans Zimmer has done, like, he's just taken on other random projects which lower him, not completely random, some of them, obviously. I think like big blockbusters that lower his, like, he I don't know. I think Dune has been his, like, biggest great scores lately. Like, he's done a bunch of other random stuff. Like, he did No Time to Die, just fine. Like, he does a lot of unmemorable stuff too. I'm just gonna say, like, I don't like obviously No Time to Die. You don't want to do too much of the James Bond score, but he also did the score for The Sun with Hugh Jackman. If you remember that even existed, from the guy who directed The Father. It was a big bomb critically.
I didn't even know that movie existed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, like, you're right. Like, maybe he has done a few of those, but, like, I think a lot of his, like, iconic film scores, he has a lot of iconic film scores for, like, the century, I would say. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean is one that just comes to mind. Like, I know he didn't do the soundtrack for that first film, but he did write Jack Sparrow's theme, right?
Right.
And that is I would probably say one of the most recognizable pieces of music in film. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I think, he's probably one of the best, especially for themes. I think he's probably doing some of the best work out there, But, like, he also, like, I think consistency of quality, like, he did Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah, but he also did the first one.
True. Not to say it's a bad score, but I'm not, I'm just...
But the movie wasn't that good from what I heard. I didn't really have an interest in seeing it. So.
He just cranks out a lot of random stuff sometimes. And, like, he's working on Mufasa, obviously, because he did The Lion King.
Yeah.
He did The Tattooist of Auschwitz, some random indie film that's coming out soon. He also did Creator.
Okay, yeah, no, the creator score was actually really good as well. I quite like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you not see that movie or?
I did not actually, yeah.
You should. It's on Disney Plus. Like
Right.
it's actually pretty solid. It's crazy what they do with the budget. I talked about this already here before,
Yeah.
but like it's a $70 million movie that looks like a $150 to $200 million movie essentially. So.
Right, yeah. Which is what should be happening more considering, I don't know. Oh yeah, because I've heard some rumors about, so Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick, his next film with Brad Pitt, which is an F1 movie, apparently might have a
Yeah.
$300 million budget.
It better look good then, is all I'm gonna say. But
It
I mean,
better look
Joseph Kosinski
cool
has
as
done a
hell.
really good job with visuals though, so I trust him.
$300 million though is just a little obscene for that kind of movie. It's just obscene
Yeah.
for any movie, really.
It is, yeah, especially like all the societal problems we've talked about. You know, some money could be going other ways, but I mean, like maybe it'll look good. I mean,
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, it had like $225 million budget or something like, or maybe sorry, 170 million. It still a bit of money, you know, but
Yeah.
Justin Kaczynski knows. I think he knows how to make a pretty good-looking film. Like Tron Legacy is one that comes to mind. I mean, say what you want about Tron Legacy's screenplay and its acting, but visually, it's a masterpiece. I'm sorry to say. Like it's one of the most it's one of those films that has really held up as time has gone on. It still looks great to this day.
Yeah.
But like, and then you've got Oblivion, which isn't that great either, but still looks amazing visually. And then obviously Top Gun Maverick also looks fucking fantastic. So
Yeah.
even Only the Brave, which didn't have a huge budget, still looked excellent as well. Which is like a what's it called, forest fire film. I don't know if you heard about that one, but yeah.
Never did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as Dune Part 2 goes, Denis Villeneuve is just one of the best doing
Working
it.
directors.
Just,
Yeah.
one of the best working directors today, for sure. Definitely, maybe probably the best director to be working at above 150 million consistently
I would
at
say
this
so.
point, for sure.
The
I
man
can't,
knows how to use the budget. That's for damn sure.
it's like him and Christopher Nolan for that
Mhm.
category.
I
They're
would say so.
they're together. But even Nolan's last movie was obviously not an indie film by any means, but it was a smaller budget for historically what he was doing. He's doing the best with big properties and IP for sure right now
Yeah.
with Dune and with Blade Runner. Yeah, I think obviously just looking forward to whatever he makes next, as
Same.
always.
Apparently it's Dune Messiah, potentially, so
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
that'll be interesting. I think that was the most interesting part about this film, though, was the kind of Messiah commentary, and just the power that faith and belief in a figure can be, but also how dangerous that can be. I appreciated that a lot. In a film that often feels very focused on its scene and moving its plot along, I think that theme was conveyed pretty well. 'Cause it's obviously a film with a lot on its mind, but also one that wants to entertain the audience and get through, the plot pretty efficiently, which it does. I think it balances those two very well. That's another thing I really want to praise about the film, that I think it conveys its message pretty well without having to meditate on certain scenes and dialogue very long. All the acting was great. I loved what they did with Chani overall, because there was a pretty big change from what I read of the novel with Zendaya's character.
Yeah, they made her have a more active role in the plot, which I think works for the film.
Definitely works for the film, yeah. I think it gives her a pretty consistent arc, gives her purpose in a few key scenes, and obviously makes her ending towards Dune Messiah a lot more intriguing, as she's almost put aside for the sake of the prophecy and everything and what he needs to do, even though obviously he
actually has a choice, but there's this illusion that he doesn't have a choice, so he just embraces it in the end, which it's like you feel good because like the fucking Fremen have finally overcome the Harkonnens, and like Paul gets his revenge against the Emperor for having his father killed. But at the same time, you're like, what the fuck is he about to do next?
Yeah.
Right? You know?
Like, yeah, like it doesn't really feel satisfied in that. Like, it doesn't. It's not like the Denis very much does a really good job of conveying it, but like there's a clear victory on display, but he very much alludes to the darkness that his victory gives. Like he kind of it's almost a sad ending, really, even though he's like gained more power, but and like avenge his father, but like there's still a clear sadness and the kind of emptiness to it, especially with how Zendaya's character is treated and how he's clearly just so absorbed in his own narrative for what he's been told he has to be that he seems lost in it. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, we shall see.
Great film. I think like edit like the when I was talking about how immersive it was, it's because everything's working together so well. Cinematography beautiful, the editing really well paced,
visual effects,
the music.
excellent.
Yeah, the visual effects amazing. The music, like connecting with the scenes really well, creating obviously you mentioned the worm riding scene, one of the most memorable easily. Great choreography in the knife fight, that felt very intense. Great work there. That was something that felt a little newer for Denis, but I think he obviously brought on some people who knew exactly what they were doing. And some other great action scenes, I think.
No, I agree. He did a really good job. I think that you're right. The knife fight that was a really good moment in the film, and I've seen some of the behind the scenes about how they choreographed it. It took a while for Austin and Timothy to like work through that, but I think it definitely pays off. I like when there is actually you can tell there was actual like thought and care put into the choreography, and it's not just two stuntmen like doing the bulk of the work. You can actually see their faces on like doing this shit, which is cool. Like that's what we want. We want to see the characters actually completing the feats that are implied in the film, right? Like I don't just want to see like from behind them while they're doing stuff. I want to see their face sometime. The only thing that makes sense not to like have Timothy Chalamet do was like destroy that sand dune to jump on the worm. Which I mean, I don't know if you know this. Denis actually they built a sand dune just so they could destroy it for that scene.
Damn.
Because like there was something about that area of the desert where like they couldn't get the dune like facing the sun the way they wanted, so they just like fucking built a new dune and then destroyed it.
Yeah.
With something, I have to say. But then they had an actual stunt guy like run over over top of it as it was being destroyed. And like there's even though that's like not Timothy Chalamet, like it's a real person doing that, and that still helps. It's nice when it's just not all CGI, right?
Yeah, and
but even when there is CGI here, like you said, blends together perfectly.
Yeah, and it's still a film that comes out in under a $200 million budget, which is kind of, this film is very much a justification in my mind for like why a film doesn't need to be more than $200 million. If you can pull all this off under $200 million, then like I think it'll be an interesting movie. Why does an F1 movie or a movie by the Russo brothers need to be over $300 million?
Money laundering.
Yeah, like it just does not make any sense.
Yeah, it's got to be that. I mean, like, because I mean, unless you're putting marketing budget into the film already, which I know they're not doing, so like where's all this money going? Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll see what the F1 movie looks like, but I'm telling you right now, if it doesn't look spotless, I'm fucking criticizing it because like if you have $300 million and it doesn't look perfect. Well, I mean, to be honest, if it doesn't look perfect, then I would say they probably rushed the animators or like the visual effects artists, because I think that's what happens a lot of the time. Like I think these guys still get paid that amount of money, and it could look amazing, and we've seen that before in the MCU, but like they just like to rush their VFX artists. So if that doesn't happen, maybe it'll look phenomenal. I hope it does. That would be good.
Yeah, I think. Or maybe they're destroying a bunch of real F1 cars.
Ooh, that could be the case too.
Like that would be better. They filmed at the actual F1 tour, I know too. I mean, that probably cost a pretty penny as well.
Probably, yeah.
And they're probably paying Brad Pitt a
Yeah.
stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. Well, what should
um,
we give? Do you want to give Dune 2 a rating, or do you
yeah,
have
yeah,
any
yeah.
other things?
No, I think we can go ahead. I
Sure.
give this film a 9 out of 10.
I'm
So,
going 9.5, I think, to be honest with you. It's near
okay.
perfect for me. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the Blu-ray when it comes out in like 3 days. So yeah, I mean I'm going all the way to Hamilton because that's a video store where I know it will be, and plus my buddy from school is out there, so we're gonna make a day out of it, right?
Oh,
So
okay, okay. I was
yeah,
gonna say, I know there's one in Toronto that's pretty good too. But
yeah,
wait, for the Blu-ray of Dune?
yeah. Dune Part
Yeah,
2.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I have Dune Part 1. I left it back in Windsor though, but yeah, I got it at the same store. There's just a Windsor location, so
Nice.
yeah.
All right. So Challengers. I'm
Mm.
gonna explain this one a little bit more. It's directed by Luca Guadagnino, with a screenplay from Justin Kuritsky, who is best known before this as either being Celine Song's husband or the guy who did a viral video called The Potion Seller. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I've seen that video. I was hoping you were gonna talk about it. It's so good. I mean, it's peak like early 2010s YouTube. I think it's early
Yeah.
2010s if I'm not mistaken. But he just has like a fucking like inverted face filter on, and it's just like him like sucking his face in almost, and he's just saying some goofy shit. It's oh my god, it is so fucking stupid and funny. I love it. It's
Yeah.
nice to know that there's like goofy people working on a movie.
Yeah.
You already know the vibe is gonna be excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think, yeah, stars Zendaya. Second film with Zendaya. I'm just gonna declare right now she's in the best two movies of 2024 so far.
Probably, yeah.
With this and Dune. Also Josh O'Connor and Mike Faist, who I think is one of the best actors working today, especially
Mm,
after this film. I think anything he does should be taken care of. He is a precious actor, and we need to protect him, and he should be in more films.
he
Um,
was good in Bloody West Side Story. I still have
he was
yet to see
great
that
in
one
that.
though.
He was amazing in that. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So, it's a little bit of a love triangle film where they, Art and Patrick, played by Mike Faist and Josh O'Connor, are in a tennis match against each other, and then you learn over time through a bunch of flashbacks as it jumps through time back and forth why this match matters so much.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get into spoilers about why it matters so much. I don't. I guess we didn't even get to. Oh, we kind of got into. We didn't even get into that many Dune spoilers, really. I just realized, but that's
Yeah.
fine. For this film, I think it's a little more important. Um, yeah. So at the beginning of the film, you kind of see that both Patrick and Art really like Tashi, Zendaya's character, to the point where throughout their youth they're basically competing for her. Like one of them is like she literally says, "Whoever wins this tennis match will get my phone number." Patrick wins it, played by Josh O'Connor, and that's why they date for a few years. And then Zendaya is injured, which leads to Art stepping in because Patrick and Tashi had a big fight. And so then Art and Tashi get married, and they have a kid, and Art goes on to become a very successful tennis player while Tashi becomes his coach, being unable to play at the same level. And then one day, Patrick stumbles back into their lives since Art is struggling so much in his professional games, that he goes to this more amateur style tournament against
Yeah.
Patrick, who is basically living broke out of his car. Not because his family doesn't have money to support him, but because he's stubborn. And yeah, that's most of the plot.
Pretty
but
good summary.
yeah,
I mean,
but
there's obviously other things. Like, I think, like, I mean, Tashi kind of sucks as a person, for one.
they
I
all
mean,
kind of suck a little bit.
I would say that Art sucks the least, though, just because,
I
like,
don't know. He's the least reckless, but he knows, like, he kind of knows what he's doing the most. Like, he's almost the most manipulative in a little, like, in a puppy dog way,
yeah,
where,
but,
like,
like, he didn't force those two to break up, though. Like, fuck,
no,
they had a
but
fight, and,
yeah,
like,
but he laid, like, he provokes them to kind of have that fight for sure. Like, if he didn't say anything, I don't think that fight would have happened.
yeah,
Um, obviously, you know, it depends on where, like, their morality stand, like, this, like, their romance together kind of starts out as a potential threesome. As, the first time she kisses them, she's kissing, like, both of them back to back, basically, and that leads to eventually them kissing. Um, so,
yeah,
like, again, it's very much, like, you kind of see that they work best with all three of them together, and that's what the ending of the film is very ambiguous overall. I don't know, I actually, because at the end of it, um, Zendaya, like, Tashi and Patrick sleep together before the night before the big match, where Tashi's also convincing Patrick to throw the match because she's putting the pressure on Art to win, saying that if he doesn't win, she would leave him.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, look, like that and so many other reasons. That's why, like, I find Zendaya's character to be the most manipulative. Not to say that it's a bad character though, because like I think she's well written and Zendaya does a terrific job portraying her. But it's just like she manipulates both of these men constantly, right? And then, like, she has a whole ass kid with Art and is still like gonna leave him over a tennis match potentially. It's like very strange. And then cheats on
yeah,
him twice, despite having a kid with him. It's like
yeah, like,
kind of crazy.
they, like, it's clear, I think they make Zendaya's character clearly more in love with tennis than anything else. That's what's
Yeah,
one thing that's clear throughout the film. While she has feelings for these men, she clearly loves tennis more than any of them.
yeah,
For Patrick and Art, it seems that they just love, I think, each other and Tashi
yeah.
more than tennis for sure. Like, they clearly enjoyed tennis, and it's what keeps, like, what they're still doing. But I think especially for Art's character, it's very clear that he's kind of tired of playing tennis, and he's only doing it for Tashi. By towards the end of the film, so then obviously it kind of reignites. When he's finally connecting best with both of them is when he's actually playing tennis against Patrick.
Hmm.
And that's why that last point, even though Patrick reveals that he slept with Tashi, that once they get a really good game going and they, like, connect over an intense game of tennis, that's when, they kind of come together to hug again. Like they did when they were kids, winning the doubles match, which I think is when they were at their most happy. Um, yeah, like, I think it's kind of a story about friendship, and I think
Hmm.
for them, obviously their friendship was best when they were playing tennis together, in good spirits. I think both of them cared about that more than probably their relationship with Tashi,
Oh yeah.
especially with. I think by the end, both of them realized that Tashi definitely cares about tennis more than she cares about either of them, considering she literally sleeps with Patrick to ensure that he'll throw the match.
Yeah.
Because especially much of everyone calls this a very sexy movie, but a lot of the intimate scenes are very much more about them talking about
Probably.
tennis than actually, being intimate with each other for the most
Yeah.
part, except maybe that first scene when Art and Patrick are making out. I don't know, what is your take on their, bi-curious relationship, especially in that
Definitely like
moment?
each other, man. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
it,
definitely into
it's
each
pretty
other.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely one of the most bisexual movies I've ever seen in my entire life. That's for sure. I did appreciate that, you know. There's not as much representation for that. You know, it's either they're gay or they're lesbian or they're trans. You know, like that's fine, obviously, but like it's cool to see another angle. You know,
Yeah.
I think it definitely like it was cool to see representation for me. Like that was nice. I definitely like that. You know, but yeah, you're right though. It feels like by the end they realized that they should just fucking like reconcile or whatever. Like, cause Dashi was just manipulating both of them, and like you said, they were better together. So I mean, obviously, like you said, the ending is very ambiguous. You know, I think Art wins. Like, it's kind of hard to tell,
I
but
don't think that. I don't think no, because that wasn't the match point though. I don't think it matters
yeah.
ultimately. I think that's the point. Is that
No, they just realized that they're better together, and they should just probably get rid of Tashi from their lives or something like that.
okay, yeah.
That's my take on it. I think that that's what they should do. Maybe not like maybe they won't date, but maybe they'll just go back to being friends again, and like I don't know, Art will get a divorce or some shit. But yeah, I don't know. Speaking of that final match though, can we talk about the camera work in there? 'Cause
Yeah.
like
I'm.
that actually blew me away.
Yeah, it
I
was
had heard like
great.
rumblings of like us becoming the tennis ball, but like seeing it in the theater was something else, man. I tell you.
And like, yeah, I'm very glad that someone like Luca Guardino, who probably knew not that much about tennis, is doing a tennis movie because he just
Mm.
brings a whole new perspective to it. I've been waiting for something like this where like an auteur, like creative director is directing a sports film, because then he, while it's not like the best way to exactly cover exactly to know exactly what's going on in the game, it's not about
Mhm.
that. It's about the energy and the connection. So like, but it really makes tennis look very intense and very entertaining as well, without
Yeah.
necessarily us knowing exactly who's winning all the time and who's doing better during the
Yeah.
point. But it was really exciting to see that kind of those creative shots being done. I think the POV one was a little but I think especially that under the tennis court, some of the even some of the close-ups that they get for the players, him sweating and those slow-mo shots are really good. Obviously, the ball POV is very exciting.
Yeah, no, it is very exciting, and like the score match with it is really makes
Yeah,
everything more intense as well. I think like the score is probably it might be my favorite aspect of the film, to be honest with you. I've been listening to that quite a bit since I came out of the theater. Like
I
mainly
have
because
too.
it's it's barely a film score and more like just rave music, which I kind of like, you know. I think that's an interesting like idea for a film to do, you know. I don't know if have we really seen anything like that before? I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Like, not to this extent, I think. Like maybe a
Yeah.
couple. I've seen a couple scenes that play like rave type music over like a scene where there's dialogue and there's like action happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this film does use it. Like every time the score started, I just got more hyped up for what was about to happen. Like I was like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna say next? Like you knew shit was about to go down in the tennis match or in their conversations, which I really liked. It created an almost anticipation and like energy to their conversations because I think the mixing is good enough that you can hear what they're saying,
Yeah.
but you also feel the intensity of that pounding music, which is amazing. Again, I think Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are the best doing it right now. I think this is probably the best score of the year, personally. I would put it over Dune, personally. I probably maybe better. I don't know if it's better score than last year. It's also a very different score than Dune or like Oppenheimer, for example.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to compare them. I mean, it's a great score. I think this
It is
film
very
also has
cool.
a very strong screenplay. Like the way
Mhm.
Justin set up everything to lead up to that final match is really well done, and he makes that scene so much entertaining by the like he makes that final scene so impactful, while
Mhm.
also doing a great job with the scenes before that to continue the escalating drama because like the drama is escalating as we watch those scenes, but obviously it's coming to a head in that final tennis match that we keep cutting back to.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's a really well structured screenplay. Yeah, like I guess a couple of lines of dialogue are a little, if like like not the most convincing, like naturalistic things in the world, but neither is this situation necessarily. So like
Yeah.
he kind of gets away with that. Yeah, like you said, great cinematography, and direction. Like I don't know, this is
Surprisingly
like
funny as well, I would say.
yeah, there's definitely some funny moments, especially like, even in the beginning when it's cutting to like the dinky trophies that this challenger amateur tournament has, and like the Phil's tire trophy with the check and everything, or him or Josh O'Connor just looking at that breakfast sandwich bagel with so much desire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
all
would say also Josh O'Connor, like, throwing a Hail Mary and trying and just making out with the girl that he was going on this horrible date with,
yeah,
and
and then it works.
it worked. I was like, what the fuck? That actually surprised me. I thought he was about to get slapped, but then I was like, wait, she actually likes this? Like,
I
it
think
was
it's because I think the excuse I think if you ask Luca Guardino, he would be like, "Oh, it's just because Josh O'Connor's so hot that like, why wouldn't you want to make out with him?"
fair. Fair. He's an
Um,
attractive man, to be honest. So is
yeah,
Mike Feist, to be honest. I was like,
yeah,
ooh.
oh yeah, for sure. They're
No,
they're all very
truly is a great
attractive,
film, though,
but they're
because like
all
there's men and women everywhere in this
yeah.
film.
It's a great synthesis of where you could see this being a film where they might hire like models because they want to convey how hot they are, but like they also just found like some of the hottest and most talented actors working today.
Yeah.
It's just a perfect synthesis of a crew, I think. Luca's normal crew with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross bringing out this great score, a great cast, like, and a great screenplay. Like, just all the elements that you want in a great movie are here. And like, you know, this could be a movie I could see, like, and I think it's going to be rewatchable enough. It's the kind of movie I think I'd watch over and over again. Really, it would be like up there for a movie. If I only had one movie to pick to watch for the rest of my life, I might put on that list. As like a contender of what I might pick. It's a great film.
It really is.
Um, yeah, great singing in theater as well. Like it really
Hmm.
makes that theater experience rewarding between the sound and the score and just the imagery you get. It's you know that much more immersive and impactful in theater. And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty close to a perfect movie for me. I really have like nothing. Like I guess the only thing is like maybe the themes don't fully click for me or aren't the most deep. I'd say the same thing about Dune, but like sometimes your films don't need to be the deepest, most contemplative thing in the world either, and they're maybe better for it overall. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's not
No,
what it's
I
going
think
for.
it's definitely fine to have some flaws in your film. Like, it's pretty damn impossible to make a perfect movie. So
Yeah,
yeah, but no, you're right. I same here. I honestly don't have any. I don't have any complaints about
yeah,
Challengers, nor Dune. To be honest with you, I really love both films. It's crazy. Like, no, Zendaya's had quite the year so far. She's she's really escaped. She's really like gone from Disney Channel quite like far. Like her and Austin Butler, like they've really shaken that Disney Channel acting style. Because I've heard a lot of like Disney Channel actors, or even Nickelodeon too, they kind of like struggle getting like bigger roles afterwards because it's like there's that distinct like that Disney Channel style where it's like very
yeah,
over exaggerated. It doesn't necessarily look great for them as actors, so a lot of them do struggle to get roles, but then the ones who do are like usually the best of the best, and it's I'm not really surprised. But
yeah,
yeah, it's nice that they're like having a great career after that. Fuck,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about all I want to say. Nine out
yeah.
of
I
ten.
don't really have anything else to say either.
Another 9 out of 10 film. Great,
Hmm,
great
sure.
movie.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 film for me as well. I would say the only film where I'm actually not mad about product placement as well, because it actually felt natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I was gonna say we could probably quickly hop over to the
Metacritic.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think we
let's say
should
that.
also soon, like maybe not today, but soon set up the one for summer.
Good
Uh,
idea.
so I'll just quickly share my screen with you. We shouldn't
Sounds good,
probably do
bro.
that today. I have to go soon, but
Yeah, of course, of course. We'll just do it quickly. All right.
All right. I don't know why I put in Inside Out 2 on mine because I thought we were trying to limit it to stuff that came out before June or before
Yeah.
May even. That's not complete. Well, actually, that's not true. I have Furiosa here.
Damn, Kung Fu Panda 4 got a 54 out of 100.
Yeah, it was
I didn't realize it got that bad.
did not
Like,
do very well. Hitman still hasn't come out fully yet. Back to Black, I don't think was very good, but
who chose Back to Black?
that was you.
I chose Back to Black.
That's what it says here.
Oh Lord. You know what? I don't think I did enough research into who is directing that. I probably should have known better, to be honest. Ooh.
The 49.
Yeah, not great.
Not great.
But
Not
yeah,
horrible, I
Kingdom of the
guess.
Planet of the Apes has 65. I just saw.
Yeah, I'll just click on that to make sure it hasn't changed. Yeah, 65. Pretty solid.
Not too bad at all.
Mine I don't think I have anything updated. Challengers is a big one for me. It's at 88
Oh yeah,
now.
no, that was a good pickup. God, I wish I picked that one. That was a nice one, man.
It dropped a little bit since I updated
Oh,
last.
82.
It's an 82 now, so go ahead and change that. Yeah.
Is Furiosa dropped yet, or?
Furiosa has not dropped yet. Neither is
No,
Inside
not
Out
like the
2.
movie, but it's like score. Anything?
No. It is not.
Doesn't it come out like May 24th or something like that?
Yeah. No, I think the review, like, scores won't come out till, like, probably the week of. So, I don't know. I feel like Inside Out 2 shouldn't count, because it feels like it will take too long to come out before it's,
Yeah.
like, it should be in the summer one, if we make that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
maybe we
fix
should put
that.
in some more, but then what do you replace it with, though? That's the only question.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could spin a wheel of, like, random movies that have come out during this period.
It's not a bad idea.
I don't know. Maybe I'll do that later.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that when we set up our next one.
Sure. Sounds like a plan, sir.
Yeah, but I think at this point we're probably good to end this episode for now. We'll
Yeah.
update. I'm sure you have a little more free time with school being done, so we can
Yes, I
update
do.
that another day. So, yeah, I guess for now, I can just say that this has been another episode of the Dead Film Critics Society podcast. Again, thanks Aiden for talking. Always love discussing all this film stuff with you. And
Same
yeah,
here,
I don't know if we want to set out a target for another film. I watched The Fall Guy. I don't know if you're, like, I don't know what you're looking forward to watching next
I
coming out.
haven't seen it yet. Isn't that good?
It was
I
alright.
heard it's long.
Good. I wouldn't say it's bad at all for sure. It's like,
Okay.
I think you'd enjoy it. Like, the action's a little underwhelming. Like, it's not anything you haven't seen before to me,
Yeah.
which felt a little disappointing for a movie about stunt people. But, yeah, good movie. I would probably not see it again personally, but like,
Okay.
I still haven't even seen Challengers and Dune again, so.
Fair.
But there's also like Furiosa and Hitman coming out, and Kingdom of the Apes, and coming out May 17th. Oh, the Garfield movie? I don't know. Well, we'll figure something out.
No.
We're
No,
not
no.
going to talk about the Garfield movie?
I don't want to
Pratt?
watch the Garfield movie. Dude, he doesn't even sound like Garfield. Like, what the fuck? He has one job, you know? Like,
Yeah.
him doing his own hyper, like, happy voice in, like, the Lego movie was fine. And he wasn't, that made sense for the character of Emmett, right? But then,
Yeah.
like, even I could even excuse Mario, because, at least he tried to do the Mario voice. It wasn't perfect, but the movie, I still enjoyed the movie, even though it was, like, kind of silly. But, like, he's not even attempting to do a Garfield voice.
Right.
It's like, Garfield's voice naturally sounds a bit like Bill Murray. Even in the old bloody cartoons, it sounds like pretty monotone, a bit like, even if he did something like this, like, why doesn't he doesn't even try?
Yeah.
Like, it's Fucking lame.
Is what it is.
So no, I do not want to see that.
Well, yeah, we'll figure out what we'll talk about next. But yeah.
Even if you just see and I see another film, we could each individually talk about it. So
That too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But hey man, if you want to waste your money on the Garfield movie, be my guest. I personally will not be doing that. I'm strapped for cash right now, so.
That's fair. Yeah, I was mostly joking. I don't think I'll see the Garfield movie.
Okay, good. Oh man.
Unless I'm like, well, it comes out the same weekend as Furiosa, so I'm definitely spending money on Furiosa before I'm spending money on Garfield. But yeah. Yeah, I'll start making the summer Metacritic thing, 'cause I always look forward to doing those. And yeah, we'll figure out a time.
Sounds good, sir. Sounds
All right.
good. All right.
Have a great rest of your Saturday. I'll see you later.
Thank you, you too, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Boy.